We're doing a valve cover gasket change on a 96 Nissan Altima with a KA24DE engine. First thing you'll want to do is remove all of your spark plug wires. After you have your spark plug wires removed, you can come down and remove your breather hose right here. Remove this clamp and then slide the hose off. After you have your breather hose removed, you can then go around and remove the 11 bolts on top of the valve cover that attach it to the engine block. After you've come down and removed your 11 bolts, you'll come down and there'll be caps and washers like this that you can remove under the bolts. They're not reusable. And after that, then you'll be able to lift off your whole cover. After you have your cover off, you'll expose your gasket and spark plug wells. It's a preformed gasket that's on the valve cover. So you can just pull up on it and it should come out. This is a very important step in your process. You need to come down now and clean out all of the mating surfaces for any leftover gasket or RTV sealant that could be there. Any bit that's left over can be a potential leak on your reinstallation. After you have your whole gasket area cleaned, you'll want to take a permatex sealant and apply it to the cam lobes on these edges here, on all three of them. On both sides. This is incredibly critical that you get it down and just a little coating on the inside of it, or else it's the one place you'll develop a leak. After you get your RTV sealant down, it should look something like this. You can then go ahead and take your spark plug well gasket and lay it down on your valve cover. And then you can take your valve cover gasket and place it down on the block side. After you have your valve cover gasket placed down, it should look something like this. Spark plug well gasket on here. Then you can go ahead and place your valve cover on very carefully. After you have your valve cover placed back on, it should be looking something like this. You can go around, you can check to make sure that you're seated everywhere correctly. And you can see the little bit of RTV that we put on squeezing out on the side. After you're sure that everything's good, you can come and you can take your 11 grommets and washers, place them on each spot, and then put the nuts on and just tighten them finger and thumb for the first step. After you have all your washers and bolts on, finger and thumb tight, this is a really critical step that you do this in a good fashion. You have to work your way from the center out when you tighten these bolts. Starting with this one, working your way out in a crisscrossing pattern, all the way out to all the other bolts. And your first step, this is where you really want to break out the torque wrenches, guys. Step 1 torque is 35 inch-pounds. After you have your bolts torqued down to your first step of 35 inch-pounds, you can go ahead and adjust your wrench up to anywhere between 69 and 95 inch-pounds and torque the rest of the bolts. Once you have all your bolts torqued down to the second step of torque, you can go ahead and reinstall your breather hose. After you have your breather hose installed, you can take your spark plug wires and reinstall them in their correct holes. Okay, after you have your spark plug wires, this is where I feel some people can make a mistake. Don't start your car for a while. Give it an hour or two, let the permatex set up. So it's usually where you get your leaks at anyway. Give it an hour or two, start it up after that if you must, then check for leaks.